Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the City of Farmers Branch regular City Council meeting. It is Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. The time is 6:01 p.m. We will begin with our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Williams.
Please rise. Let us pray silently together, each of us according to our own individual beliefs. As we gather here today as members of Farmers Branch City Council, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world while being ever mindful of those in the world who are suffering. Let us always speak words of truth and understanding, remembering that as leaders in our communities that we are charged to do so. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next up is the City Manager's report on items of community interest.
Thank you, Mayor. Great news for our fire and police departments. After months of steady and challenging recruitment, both departments are now fully staffed. Congratulations to the leadership of both departments and Human Resources for the hard work of recruiting talented professionals who will continue to keep Farmers Branch safe. Serve the city by taking a seat on the board. You can do just that by volunteering to serve on one of our boards and commissions. You'll help shape city policy, advise the city council, and be a voice for the community. It's a 2 to 3 year commitment. Applications will be accepted until May 1st. Learn more at fbboards.com. Have you seen the massive artwork being created at Manske Library? World-renowned artist Mike Stilkey has been in Farmers Branch for several weeks, painting a 3-story mural on a canvas of 7,000 books attached to the library's elevator shaft. Join us for a reception and unveiling of the finished work this Thursday, April the 21st at 5 p.m. Summer Funshine is only 5 weeks away. It's a recreational day camp for children ages 6 to 12 that meets weekdays from May 27th to August the 10th at our Recreation Center. Activities include swimming, character development, arts and crafts, and fitness. Free breakfast and lunch are provided. Register your child at fbyouthcamp.org. Don't forget that early voting begins Monday, April the 25th for City Council and school board races. Farmers Branch has 2 council seats on the ballot, Districts 1 and 4. Election Day is Saturday, May the 7th. And finally, you can sign up for e-news at farmersbranchtx.gov to have current city news and information delivered weekly. And with that, Mayor, that's the City Manager's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Thank you, Mr. Cox. Next is citizen comments. There is a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. No disparaging or inflammatory remarks directed at any member of the City Council or staff will be allowed. We have 3 people signed up to speak tonight. First up is James Lockridge. Just name and address, please.
James Lockridge, 2053 Willowwood Drive. Guys, I'm going to keep coming. Answer the phone calls. Make an appointment. Do something. It says here, Texas agricultural exemption laws in the state of Texas, that if you tell me that my crops or grass are at a nuisance or an endangerment to humans, you must prove that. I've asked you tonight, please prove it. Somebody, please prove how high grass is an endangerment to humans. Tell me how my storage of hay bales is a endangerment to humans, and your cars sitting over here in the parking lot every single night is not an endangerment to humans. Okay, it's the same thing. Charles Cox, tell me why the state reps of Texas have asked the city of Farmers Branch many times for certain documents Does anybody on city council been informed that the state reps are asking the city of Farmers Branch for documentation that has not been given to them yet? Has the attorney even know about it yet? I'm sure they don't. I'm sure not one city council member up here knows that the state reps are requesting information from y'all and have not got it. Can you tell me why? It's been 2 weeks. There's an issue there. Guys, I'm not going away. City council, y'all have the right to know what's going on in this city. Stop being puppets to these two guys and start asking questions. And if you don't like what they have to say, go start calling the state reps. Start talking to your citizens. Start talking to your districts. Do your jobs. Stop being scared to make somebody mad. Okay? You're here to protect the citizens and help the citizens and the residents. Now answer the state's questions. Answer mine. Give me the information showing where my crops are an endangerment to somebody in this world, and I will change my crops. But give me the information first. Charles Cox, give me the information of who you talked to at the agricultural department that you swear you talked to, because no one seems to have ever talked to you. And you did it under oath in a city council meeting that you talked to them, but not yet one person in the state agricultural office says that you called. Not one person in the appraisal district says you called. They say they have never talked to you. No one. So guys, the lies stop. City council, start asking questions. Start standing up to these people and have a backbone and take care of your district and your citizens and the residents of Farmers Branch. Make it a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lockridge. Next up is Tommy Hilkema. Name and address, please.
Tommy Hilkema, 2581 Brandywine Drive, Farmers Branch. Thank you, first of all, for the open house. It was wonderful. I wish more people would have come. It's great to see all of y'all there. It's so exciting to see all the projects we have planned. But I can take a present and I can fill it with poop and still poop in the present. And so we are still battling in the neighborhoods with poop. So we have construction trailers, we have recreational vehicles, we have massive amounts of trash in yards, and we're not taking care of that. So we can take care of all these beautiful things in the park, but unless we're taking care of the neighborhoods, it's not going to do any good. It's great to say, oh yeah, now your land's worth more. Both my neighbors are renters. They're both stonemasons. I have snakes and rats from the garbage in their yards. Now, I understand code enforcement's hands are tied for certain reasons, but I don't understand why, because I have a grass alley, I'm an underserved portion of the city. They can't walk in a grass alley, yet all of the construction, all of the vendors for gas, water, electricity, all their trucks drive back there, sometimes having to knock down trees that are growing. So I'm asking for you to look at the problem that we have in the sections that have grass alleys and help us to have code enforcement be able to empower them to serve all the residents, not just the first 4 houses that they can see from the street. So if you live in the middle of the block, you're not being serviced. And that's not fair. So we're asking you to look at ways of helping us. You know, we don't have HOAs. In the 50s, that wasn't even a thought for anybody when most of these places were built. So we're asking you to just help us keep our neighborhoods free and clear of construction vehicles, trailers, work trailers, and I'm not against self-employed people. We owned a business. We rented space to store all our equipment. So hopefully you will take that up on an agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Johannes Hilkema. Yeah, I get that. I'm assuming similar name, same address.
20. Gotta watch me, Mr. Mayor. Anyway, Johannes Hilkema, 2581 Brandywine. Friday morning was Good Friday. Now, I get to sit on my deck regardless because I'm retired. But at 5:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, what am I greeted with? Roosters. All over the neighborhood, the glory, it's like I'm living in Hooterville, is roosters. I know there's some kind of rule about roosters, but nevertheless, they're out there. But more important than the roosters is that I feel like I'm living next to Texas, the Speedway, because there are vehicles, and I don't understand the psychology here, but the more noise your car can make or truck can make, that makes you more of a somebody. And so they rush up and down the street, and it doesn't matter whether they're down my street or a mile away. You can hear those suckers everywhere. And they're noisy. And listen, I sat through the study session, and I'm glad we're going to build parks, but the most important part of the real estate that I live in is the one that I own at 2581 Brandywine. By the way, that went up $50,000 in tax value, according to the letter I got yesterday. So here I am. I have to listen to the noise. The roosters, I can live with, but it's that noise of these guys running up and down streets. And then I worked all weekend. Tommy and I worked all weekend, and you're welcome to come by the house. You're always invited because I'm home all the time, and have a cup of coffee, sit on my deck, and look at the landscape. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I invest a lot of money and labor in putting that together. But while I'm looking at the landscape, I got to see a pile of trash to my right and a pile of trash to my left. And the best code enforcement can tell me is, I can't see it. If I can't see it from the street, then I can't deal with it. And then I look down an alley. I can only see the alley about 3 houses down because the rest of the grass easement is covered. What am I supposed to do with that? Because I know what lives in that trash. Every morning, every night, by the way, my friend Opie, which is a possum, crawls out of that woodwork somewhere, all that trash. And I don't mind possums, but where there's a possum, there's a rat. That trash collects rats, and we should protect. I need you. Listen, I'm just making observations because this is stuff you can't really, I don't know how you manage it.
10 seconds.
I'm going to borrow her 2 minutes. Okay. So anyway, need your help to protect my park at 2581 Brandywine. And I don't know what you do about it. I don't know what you do about the guys with the loud pipes or about this rule that says, unless I can see it from my truck, I'm not going to deal with it. I just don't understand the psychology there because there's a lot of trash in the backyards. Not just, but come by the house and I'll show you. 2581, I'm there from 9 o'clock till 6. Except when I go to lunch with Tommy. Okay,
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of I-5 and I-7 as part of the consent.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Ratana.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Is there any more discussion? Not seeing anyone signed up to speak. I'll ask you all to mark your vote at this time. Motion passes unanimously. Next, our regular agenda items. I-1, receive an update from the Youth Advisory Council and consider approving resolution number 2022-52, continuing the Youth Advisory Council and take appropriate action. Mr. Williamson.
I'm going to immediately pass it right off.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Emily Derrick. I live at 3000 Randy Lane, and I'm a senior at Newman Smith High School. I am here tonight on behalf of the Farmers Branch Youth Advisory Council to give an update on our board. I would like to start by thanking you all for giving us the opportunity to participate on this board the past 2 years. I would also like to thank the Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District for their cooperation throughout this as well. The mission of the Youth Advisory Council, so our board was created in order to develop young service leaders through learning about the functions and purpose of the local government. We also advise the City Council on youth-related issues, assist with special projects, and planning new youth events and activities to encourage youth involvement in the community, and we serve as ambassadors for the city, inspiring other young people by completing service projects within the city and then sharing our stories. The history of the Youth Advisory Council, it was first created January of 2020. There are currently 9 members who serve on the Youth Council, and we have some here behind us, so I'm gonna have them wave when I call their name. We have Eleni Gomez, Chair, Diego Andrade, Vice Chair, Emily Derrick, Secretary, Giovanni Bleggy, Asiria Cabello, Morgan Merritt, Osmara Montalvo, Melanie Morales, and Carla Sanchez. The current sunset provision is set to terminate on May 31st, 2022, unless the resolution is amended to extend the termination date. As for our meetings, they're held monthly, and we've done various things to learn about the functions and purpose of our local government, including touring and volunteering at the animal shelter. That was one of our first meetings. We've also toured the Mansky Library during renovations and participated in library and recreation center planning conversations. We've toured the Camelot landfill and learned about recycling in our city. And then we've also attended an election panel discussions with CFB ISD School Board member Sally Derrick, State Representative Julie Johnson, Dallas County Commissioner J.J. Koch, and Councilmember Ratana, with former MetroCrest Chamber President Aaron Carter moderating. We've attended police and fire department briefings, as well as attended city events as ambassadors, such as Farmers Branch Night Out. We attended that with some of you guys. And most recently, we had the opportunity to attend the National League of Cities trip in Washington, D.C. So here to talk more about the National League of Cities trip, I'm going to invite up Diego Andrade, senior from Arl Turner High School, to share some of our experiences.
Hello, everyone. 4 members traveled to Washington, D.C. for an NLC trip. We attended general sessions, Julie-specific sessions, and collaborated with other youth advisory councils from all around the country, from which we'll learn about their projects, how they work to develop these projects. Here you can see some pictures, and if you can see to the bottom left, we have a picture with Secret Service, and it was like an amazing experience. I'm happy that I have lived that. Thank you all for it.
Now we will have some quotes that we've collected from our Youth Council feedback page, and I will have the respected person come up and read what they have to say about the Youth Advisory Council. So first up, we have Asiria.
Hi guys. The Youth Advisory Council gave me the opportunity to learn about the City of Farmers Branch along with its political, financial, and social aspects.
Hello, my name is Melanie Morales and I'm from Early College High School. And the NLC trip opened my eyes to new opportunities. I never realized that I could run for office and make a difference in my community.
I'm Giovanni Bleggy. By allowing us to explore leadership in our community and also by allowing us to attend National League of Cities, we learned that the activities and programs we could implement to help the city and become better leaders in our community.
The opportunity to be on the Youth Council has sparked my passion for public service, and I can't wait to attend Texas A&M to study political science and get my master's in public service administration in the fall. So as for the future of the Youth Council, our recommendation is to extend the program past the current termination date of May 31st, 2022. As for changes and improvements, we recommend to expand the program to include both juniors and seniors, as well as reduce terms to a 1-year option so juniors can reapply for their second year. Unfortunately, with the current structure of 2-year terms, there was a grade level that was completely skipped and unable to participate in this program. And with the restrictions of being in high school and having to work and stuff, it just makes more sense to reapply after the second year if you see it fits for you. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
Well, first and foremost, it was exciting to get to know many of you on a much different level when we went to DC for NLC. Y'all's curiosity, the questions that you asked, what you were able to learn, not only during that experience, but the entire program, and the way that you explained that to me sounded like it was very beneficial for all of y'all, and definitely experience that you would do again if you had the chance. And so, I just want to thank each of you for being our kind of inaugural class to see how this works, to see how we can engage our youth in a different way to allow them to understand what it is that we do on City Council and how your city works for you and how you can make a difference. And so we hope that what was offered y'all felt is beneficial and something that you can take forward. And, seeing so many kids, I guess I get to say that now I feel completely old, is from so many different schools, but within Farmers Branch. It's just so cool to see all y'all come together and be able to share this experience. So just want to say thank you for, signing up, being a part of the program, and putting so much into it, and hopefully getting so much out. With that, I will open it up to any council members that may have questions at this time. Councilmember Lynn.
So appreciate y'all being a part of the program. There is something, as I was reading through the presentation, that sort of struck me as a missing piece, and I'd like to see it added, and that is the service requirements for the youth members. I didn't see anything that sort of mandated that they attend X number of city events or specific city events, anything like that. And while I know that you mentioned that you were at Farmers Branch Night Out, there's a lot of other things that go on in the city. So as council looks to extend this program and take their considerations in, or their suggestions into consideration, I'd like to see us take a look at adding some type of service requirements to the city as part of their volunteerism.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions at this time? Councilmember Williams.
I just want to tell you guys how proud I am of you. I was lucky enough to attend NLC with you guys, with several of you, and it was a great experience. And I was so impressed by your level of involvement and your level of participation during the breakout sessions. I think you guys gained a lot from that trip, but you gave a lot as well. So watching you guys participate was inspiring. And so I know that you volunteer a lot of hours, and I know that, as far as service hours, your participation is the service hour. We don't have a requirement for any of our boards to participate in so many city activities. So I appreciate your involvement in participating in a board, because that's what this is all about. Is it shows you how boards work within the city, and then gives you an opportunity to advise us. And I know you've advised us on several different things that we've brought in front of the Youth Council. So I appreciate your work.
Thank you. Councilmember Ratana.
I just want to say how proud I am of you guys, of your commitment these past 2 years. This was something that probably one of the first big projects that I wanted to implement to have in our city, because I saw how successful it was in other cities across the country. And so for you all, with your inaugural class, being the inaugural class and taking it to where you have been, I just, as Councilmember Williams said, I hope that you got something out of it, and it seems like you have, as far as some of the conversations I've had with you. We as council members, we talk about how we want to make sure that all of our residents are involved and engaged. Whether you are a voter or not, you are still a member of this community. And whether you are 69 or 9 years old, we need to make sure to take care of them. And youth empowerment is such a big passion. And I just want to make sure that you take everything that you've learned, come back, or if you don't, wherever you end up, you make sure that you are involved and engaged. And it seeming from the conversations that we've had, I know you all will be. So I just want to thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed the experience. and hope that, and you gave us some really great feedback during one of those last meetings, and we took that to heart because you were the first class. We want to make sure that this just continues to be successful, and just know that if you ever need anything, you have a team here that's here to support you in all of your endeavors. I'm so excited for our seniors to take that next chapter, and for some of you to even start exploring some political science type of background, and maybe be a city manager one day, who knows? But again, I think this has probably been one of the most exciting accomplishments, just to be able to see you all and how you will contribute either in this community, which we hope, but whatever community you end up being at with your pathway to college. So just thank you all so much, and best of luck in all of your future endeavors. We've really enjoyed having you.
Councilmember Merritt.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say something as a proud father of a daughter who's participated in this. It needs to be clear that she started her service on Youth Council before I sat here on this dais. So her leadership in our family was first to serve in this particular role right here. I'm very proud of her. I'm proud of all of you for your participation and your leadership and the input that has been talked about. I know from Morgan's activities, participating in this is the service requirement. You're able to communicate that back to the school that you're participating. You're exposed to the services that we offer and the programs that are available. And so I think it's a very good level set for youth in our community to be involved at the earliest opportunities, and this at a high school level is the right time, because now many of you are going to be able to vote. I know my daughter is going to be voting in the next elections, and so this opportunity to understand how government works is so important. I've talked amongst our council before. Teaching the community how civics works is super important, and this is an opportunity for you to get hands-on through the individuals that are actually doing the work to learn about how this process works. And I'm so excited for the opportunity to extend this and make this a better program and more involvement from the council and from better opportunities going forward. So I look forward to that. But again, I congratulate all of you, and obviously I'm a very proud father of Morgan, so thank you.
And Mayor, as far as the, I know there's this item is slated for action, and I think Councilmember Williams said it regarding the service hours. I think we should definitely offer the opportunity. One of the things we did talk about was service, but at the same time, a lot of these students are engaged in other extracurricular, more than one extracurricular activity. So we want it to be an opportunity, but we also don't want to get in the way of some of the things that that they do after school. And so I think maybe pushing for that as an option, but I would hate, as we don't require that for other boards, I would hate for that to be something that would be mandatory. But maybe we can see if it's something that fits this year as an option, and then based on the feedback from the new class, if they feel like they're able to do that, then maybe we can consider it for the next, amending the resolution for the next year, since I know this is being extended for a few years moving forward. So that would just be my suggestion, and obviously as someone that, that proposed this program, I would obviously love for us to consider adopting the resolution. But would love anybody else's feedback on that, since I know Councilmember Lynn had brought that up. Okay. So we can go ahead and take action tonight.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Driscoll, do you have anything to add at this moment?
I didn't have any questions, but I would also like to echo all of my colleagues here sentiments. Congratulate all of you. Also very proud of you, and especially for being the first class or group to do this. And I don't know, but I would expect that for all of you, you had to do a lot of thinking about making the commitment to the advisory board, the youth advisory board, and probably getting out of your comfort zone, as well as adding other responsibilities and duties to your studies. And I'd just like to commend all of you. And as my colleague Mr. Merritt said, I've always advocated citizen involvement, volunteerism, people learning about citizenship, and also public service. And I think you've all taken a big step in that direction. And that's just very commendable, and spread the word among all your friends. And wish you all continued success. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Lynn, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, so again, my comment was a suggestion for the program moving forward. I would like to see more of y'all. Haven't seen you up till this point, and I haven't attended your meetings because I've got a pretty full schedule, but sometimes, maybe once a quarter, you all can attend our meetings just so we can see you and have that interaction with you. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I know in our last meeting with Councilmember Rotana, we talked about that one being one of the suggestions, us showing up to maybe a quarterly youth update to the whole entire council. So that's something that we can look at adding.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or suggestions? If not, this item is marked for action, and we do not have anyone signed up to speak to it.
Mayor, I would like to move to approve resolution number 2022-52, continuing the Youth Advisory Council.
I have a motion by Councilmember Rotana.
Second.
Oh, you got again, you've lost. A second by Councilmember Driscoll. Is there any more discussion? Seeing no one requesting to speak, I'll ask you all to vote at this time. Passes unanimously. Thank you all very
so
much. Next is I-2, receive an update from the Metro Crest Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Williamson.
Good evening. My name is Hayden Austin, and I'm representing the Metro Crest Chamber of Commerce as the president and CEO. We reside at 14681 Midway Road, Addison, Texas, 75001. I'd like to take the first moment to say thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having us tonight. I realize that you could have just asked for this presentation in a packet and said, we'll get back to you in an email. And so the fact that y'all honor organizations like us and nonprofits and youth council to come and speak to you, we really appreciate the time to be able to do this. I also want to say thank you for some support that I have tonight. I have Marianne Burns, our membership coordinator, with us, and I really appreciate her. She is my counterpart and best coworker, only coworker, best coworker. And then we also have Keita Hobbs from Encore. She's one of our board members, and so thank you so much, Keita, for being here. So I also want to thank Cristal Rotana. She has formerly served on our board. Mayor Dye, of course, has been a liaison. Tracy Williams is Councilmember Williams is our current liaison, so thank you so much. And to the rest of you for being a part of what we've done. Councilmember Driscoll is a member, so thank you all. All right, let's get started. So I want to start with our mission statement. The purpose of the Metro Crest Chamber of Commerce is to create economic prosperity for our members by providing programs, resources, and support that assist and benefit business, government, and citizens, resulting in a vibrant place to live and work. Our vision statement is to facilitate the connections that create the region's most productive business and community relationships. Now, if you were to show this map to someone from, let's say, Boston, they might look at it and say, oh, that's a great piece of land. It covers a good amount. It reaches 4 highways. I'm sure it's pretty productive. But what I want our members and what I want our community to see when they look at that, I want them to see Dallas College. I want them to see places like Mustang Station. I want them to see the Addison Airport, downtown Carrollton. I want people to look at this map and know what it does for the 3 communities that we serve in the Metro Crest region. So I just wanted to point that out, that I'm excited to start turning that into reality. Updating it already is. So our strategic plan that we started in 2020, that goes all the way through 23, which we will reevaluate next year. We have 4 C's. 1, we're a champion for business. We want to be the voice for businesses for the Metro Crest region, not only for businesses, but also to businesses, maybe if it's coming from the city. We want to be a convener of intentional connections. We don't just want to have programs where we're excited for people to show up and maybe have a cocktail or have coffee or talk about 1 or 2 things that are going on. We want to have intentional programs that people come to and get a lot out of. We want to be a catalyst for economic prosperity. we really want to drive the economy in our 3 regions. We want all 3 of our cities to work with each other, and we want to see a lot of thriving in our community. And then finally, I'd like to use the saying, put your own oxygen mask on before you put someone else's on. If I've learned anything since I started in September, it is you have got to take care of your business and what you are doing before you can help those around you and those that you're serving. And so that's a huge focus for us, of course. All right, so this was a wonderful picture of y'all. Thank y'all so much for attending our annual awards. We were honored to award both a first responder and a rising star, and so it really meant a lot. So we just want to start by saying thank you all so much for that. But what a year we have had. So starting last April, many of you know these things, but some of you might not. Last April, my predecessor, Erin Carter, after 9 years, she did a wonderful thing for this chamber and for this community, but she decided to move on to Denton. And so our board started to take over. They learned as much as they could so that they could hire me in September. And so I started in September. A month later, I was very thankful that my board had it in their back pocket to bring Mary Ann on, and we have been like this ever since. We started re-engaging our ambassadors because when Mary Ann and I don't have time to do something, they are our front runners. They help us with everything. And then, of course, we have our board, and our board is our guiding leadership. They also show up to events just as much as our ambassadors, and we had 5 of them roll off. And so we had 4 of them, 4 brand new board members. We did our board retreat and we said, we don't have a choice. 2022 is right around the corner. So I said, all right, let's decide programs. And we don't even know if COVID's going to be a problem or not. And so we started rolling with it in January. Right when we started rolling all these programs out, we realized a lot of our tools needed to be cleaned up. So our database that runs our membership needed a lot of love. COVID and the pandemic put a dent in it, and so we really need to re-engage our membership, but we're starting to clean that up. We have systems, processes, contract staff to help us out with that. We also are completely renovating our website. It hasn't been renovated since 2008, and that is a problem. It is our #1 engagement tool, so I'm very excited about that. We're continuing on focus on financial health. We hired an intern. We slowly are implementing all of these systems so that we can catch up from the past, maintain the present, and continue to move forward with growth. And now we're in April, and we're inviting you to something every other week. So, all right, so membership, right? We're a membership-based organization. April of 2021, we reported 526 members. Today, we have 532 members. Now, when I look at that, that doesn't sound great, but there's an explanation behind it, okay? With COVID, with businesses going out of business for 2 years, people moving away, people not being reached out for dues because of the pandemic, we tried to be sustainable as an organization. We have seen membership decline. But with that being said, since my start date of September 1, we have gained 51 members, and 11 of those are Farmers Branch. And so I'm pretty proud of that. And I, of course, wish it was more, and we have systems to do that, and we're working on it. So I do want to point out a couple other things. We have 11 board members. We like the number 12. We want to get back to that at the end of this year. We have 6 ex officio made up of our 3 cities and our school districts. And then our ribbon cuttings, even last year with the pandemic, we did 13 ribbon cuttings. 3 of those were in Farmers Branch. And to date, from January this quarter, we've done 11 ribbon cuttings. 2 of them were scheduled for the end of January when the pandemic came back, and so those are now scheduled for next month in June. They said push them out as far as you can. So we have 3 coming up in the next 2 months. So when you look at the graph, it shows 16%. And I want it to be a lot more. I think we serve 3 cities, and I think that we should have equal representation for all 3. There's a little over 15,000 businesses in Carrollton, a little over 4,000 here, and a little over 2,000 in Addison. So all 3 of those numbers are going to go up, but I want to make sure that our staff and our board and our ambassadors are equally serving all 3 of our cities. And so we have those systems in place to increase membership, and I'll get more into that here in a minute. All right, so events. I always go by the rule, don't put a lot on a slide, but I had to. I had to show you what we've had in store and almost the growth that we've done from last year to this year. So last year, the only in-person events we were able to do were the clay shoot, our Connect lunches, and ribbon cuttings. We even had our MetroCrest Mayor's Forum, thank you, Mayor Dye, online, but it was in Farmers Branch. And so you'll see in comparison, the clay shoot has went up in 20 people in attendance. Our Connect lunches have doubled in attendance since last year and 2019. We were averaging 30 and 19. Our ribbon cuttings have doubled. And then we had a wonderful holiday party that we definitely plan on having again. And then in 2022, I looked at Marianne, I looked at our board, and I said, we need to do everything that has served our communities well in the past. So we're going to do it well, and then next year we'll reevaluate and see if maybe something didn't work out. So we have quarterly women's business forums. We've averaged 100 people at those. Our annual awards, we brought in 230, which the last time we did it in 2019 was 250, so pretty close there. We added a MetroCrest mixer. We've been doing that monthly. We've been seeing 60 people there. Our leadership MetroCrest class, the 2020 class, didn't get to graduate. We're graduating them in June, and then we're relaunching that in July, and so we hope to see members from Farmers Branch join that. We're looking at doing a MetroCrest job fair, and then most importantly to y'all, we're looking at having our economic development lunch and our mayor's forum both in Farmers Branch. We know our events, we have a lot of them, but they need to be split up equally between all 3 cities, and so that's, of course, we're excited for that. All right, so our programs and resources, what are we really offering our community? What are we offering our members? We have our ambassador program, on average 20 people. They learn so much, and they're wonderful volunteers for us. We have lunch with them once a month, and we go to each of the cities to be able to do that. We were at Nuevo Leon last month. We have our leadership program. Again, I just spoke on that. We're excited for Farmers Branch to be a part of it. I want to bring our young professional program back. I'm looking at doing that towards the end of this year, and that is because I want young professionals in Farmers Branch in 20 years to look back and say, I was part of an organization that made me want to have a family here, get a house here, stay at work here, and invest in this region. Our partnerships with CFB ISD, mainly, they're in our backyard. We're at everything with them, but also Louisville ISD, Dallas ISD, Coppell ISD. And then business resources, we're constantly referring small business and large business to small business development centers, to SCORE. We're offering referrals. We do certificates of origin. I think we've done 9 so far just in this year. We provide a community newsletter that we send out once a month. Anything that is going to help a business, from a $10,000 grant from Dallas County to Perks Place Initiative from CFB ISD, we'll put that out. Our social media. And then I want to thank Allison Cook, I'm not sure if she's here tonight, and Amy Mueller. Our partnerships with our economic development departments are absolutely incredible. We have lunch with them quarterly, just had lunch with Allison last month. We talked about exciting things going on, and our economic development lunch that we'll have in June, or July, excuse me. And then finally, I just want to honestly say thank you to the city staff and city council. The amount of times that I'm able to send someone an email and say, I can absolutely direct you to a person in Farmers Branch that can help you solve that problem. If we wouldn't be able to do that, we might be sustainable, but we wouldn't be effective, and we wouldn't be the program we are today. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, so truly, what is our engagement with Farmers Branch? What does that look like? You receive our quarterly reports. You'll be getting one in your inbox here in a couple of weeks. But just on the surface, 2021, excuse me, April to December, our direct supporter connections. That means we directly put a business in touch with the city. We directly connected two businesses together, and these are direct supporter connections for Farmers Branch businesses, was 11. And then our business engagements, which we docket at spending more than 30 minutes with a member, not just hanging out at a Connect luncheon. This is, we went and visited their business, they came to us, we had a long conversation and took in what they needed, was 52. In this quarter alone, we've already had 19 direct supporter connections in 25 business engagements. So if we were to load that over 4 quarters, we'd be looking at 80 and 100. So what are some direct other ways that we're trying to showcase business in Farmers Branch and bring some economic wealth and drive to this community? Our Women's Business Forum, we had one in January and we'll have one here next Friday. We've had a panel both times, and we've had a business from Farmers Branch represented at both. In January, it was Metro Crest Services. This month, it'll be Brittany Willis with PJ's Coffee, so we wanted to make sure we're representing all three. Mustang Station, Red Sticks, Cedar Creek, Starwood Cafe, they're all part of the chamber. We're working with them to elevate that. We know that's important to y'all. Brookhaven Country Club, we're looking at having both of our events there, the two that I mentioned earlier. Renaissance North Dallas, re-engaging with them as they've rebranded. Dallas College, I've been blessed to work very closely with Dr. Brady with the CFB Early College High School. They're also helping us do a lot with Leadership Metro Crest. And then CFB ISD are the two things we're probably most proud of in the last 6 months is one, we helped them re-engage the Perks Place initiative. We gave CFB ISD a list of all of our employers that would want to be a part of that. Essentially, they're on a website and teachers can go to that website and they're perks. That's what they are, 25% off a coffee. And so we directly connected there. And then secondly, with CFB ISD, I'm right now speaking to their college career military readiness and their career technical education departments about summer internships, trying to connect them with businesses. So we're really trying to make that happen. And then lastly, we had the Easter Bunny come visit us at one of our Connect lunches, Farmers Branch Historical Park. I've worked closely with them to be able to promote things on our community newsletter and do that. So that's our direct engagement with Farmers Branch, a little overview. Almost done. 2022 and beyond, how can we really be a sustainable chamber? We are constantly working towards, and this is down from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, towards getting our dues, our revenue. It should be close to 50% dues and 50% non-dues revenue. How many programs are you putting out? How are you engaging your members? So the 3 goals that we have as a chamber, we want to evaluate our most effective events and programs from this year and try to replicate that next year. We want to survey needs from business communities and create initiatives. I'll tell you one that we're already working on is workforce. That's why we want to have a job fair. And so find those initiatives that are important to our businesses. And then finally, again, internal excellence, build a platform so that we can make the city of Farmers Branch shine. We're very proud. This was just in March. I just decided to use this. Out of these 10 members, Diversified Sourcing Solutions, Artistry and Light, and then of course, Councilmember Driscoll are members of the chamber. And so just to show you, we have those. And then finally, I'm not going to read all of these, I promise, but I wanted to put up these. These say a lot of great things about the chamber, and we're really proud of that. But honestly, it's in the sentence in the top left corner, and it's an honor to serve this city, and it's an honor to serve our region. We're very blessed to do that. I do, though, want to point out Really quickly, those that did leave us comments: Lisa Rigby with the Woven Health Clinic, owner of PJ's Coffee, Brittany Willis, Dr. Brady, Dallas College, Kelly Nelson, the Westwood School, Abba Abdu, Image 360, Tracy Eubanks, Metrocrest Services, and Vince Falsarella, Dallas Medical Center. These 7 are just a few of the business owners and leaders that I have gotten to work with. And I would like to read just 2 of them, one from the private sector and one from the education sector. Hayden and the Metrocrest Chamber have redefined what chamber support and advocacy looks like. As a small business owner within Farmers Branch, I am touched by the intentionality with which Hayden leads and how he actively seeks out ways to support me and ensure my business gains visibility and connectivity with our broader community. I am thrilled for my 2nd year in business with having the Metrocrest Chamber and Hayden on my side. And then I'll read Dr. Brady's and I'll be done. The Metrocrest Chamber of Commerce has been a key partner for Dallas College Brookhaven as we have maneuvered our reorganization in the midst of the global pandemic. The Chamber provided ways to continue to expand our network within the community and help spread the word about the work we have continued to do to ensure our students are well served. When Hayden Austin took over as president of the Chamber, he immediately arranged to meet with us to discuss ways we might work together in the future. The Chamber and its staff are true assets for our community. Now, I know my name is put in those quotes, but I want to say that that directly represents the work that Mary Ann has done, the work that our board, our ambassadors, and everybody involved has done. With that, I want to say thank you so much, and I know you read your packets beforehand, but I know I would like to open for questions.
Okay. Mr. Austin, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you very much for your leadership. The way you came in and kind of picked up the baton that was kind of left there on the ground and kind of created something that's your own. It's been encouraging to watch in the new direction that you're taking the Metrocrest Chamber, and doing that by making it your own, I think is the best way that you're going to succeed. And thanks to Mary Ann for stepping up and jumping on board and helping you out, because I know it's not easy doing things alone. So just want to say I'm encouraged by what you have presented here today, the success that you've had, and kudos. I know you said one of your goals was getting us above 16%, and out of the last 51, we had over 20%. So it seems like you're on the right path, and just want to say good luck in those endeavors, and we appreciate what you do for not only the businesses in the city of Farmers Branch, but what it means to them and the region as a whole. So thank you. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Hayden this time? Councilmember Lynn.
So I have Hayden, not for you, but for Ben. Is he still here?
Oh, always.
As it relates to this presentation and the next one. So I guess you're in charge of determining whether the organizations have met their metrics for the quarter, or?
I review what they submit to make sure it adheres to what's been passed by council, yes.
Okay, so I'm curious then regarding business visits, and I know you get a reimbursement from the city for each business visit, as does Farmers Branch Chamber. And so is any place that you stop, and I'm going to ask the same question over here, so I'm just asking it to Ben now. Is any place that they stop considered a business visit?
We try and encourage them and not define what the business model is. We're trying to encourage touches on the businesses. The ultimate goal, the big metric we're after, is their membership. So that drives both chambers towards being more self-sustainable versus the city providing additional funding. So we built it performance-based to where they encourages the touches with the businesses. When they have those interactions, the next deliverable that can be there is anything they want to share with the city, like, hey, they're bursting at the seams over there, they probably need more space, so economic development can engage, because economic development has the city's resources and toolboxes with Allison's team to make sure we're retaining the businesses in Farmers Branch and help them be successful while staying in Farmers Branch. And then beyond the intelligence, they can further that is if they're not a member, finding out talking about their business, the benefits of being members of the chamber and recruiting these businesses to be members of the chamber. So the whole reason the contracts are set up the way they are is to go back to that grassroots development of the business model. And both chambers agreed to these terms before we brought them before council. But we don't tell them how to interact with the businesses. If they feel it was an engagement visit of touch on the business, we let them tell us that that counts. Whereas when we start seeing the intelligence sharing, it's either shared with economic development or it's not. And then we use their roster of businesses to where we can audit that once a year. I'll go back and audit their memberships to make sure these are current memberships. So we define what a member is. It has to be current, up to date on dues. So it can't be a member on paper only. It needs to be a current paying member. And so when we first did this reset with both chambers, both of their members took a significant shrink, essentially, because a lot of the members weren't up to date on dues. So we asked the chambers that they need to be current paying members at a certain level, but that's basically the way the contract is stacked for performance delivery.
Okay. Well, these are still our tax dollars that are paying for that, and so I don't like to see my money, I'm not going to say wasted, but not accounted for in every way. And so when I was going over some of these, like some of the visits, you know, I'm looking a couple of visits to Dallas College. So we paying each time they go and talk to Dallas College, or are we paying for when they come and talk to a council representative? That's, to me, you know, meeting with the council representatives not really qualifies as a business visit, but I'm not the one grading what they turn in.
I'd have to go back and look at the specific ones, but yes, I can go back and check on those.
Okay, so I would just say, you know, while we appreciate everything you do, I think in order to be fair for both organizations, we need to look with a discerning eye to make sure that we're truly getting what's necessary to move not only the chamber forward, but to move the city forward, since they're acting as an agent for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions at this time? Councilmember Driscoll.
Yes, I would just like to say, Austin and Mary Ann, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I think less than a year since you came in. And as the mayor said, you know, you came in here and kind of hit the ground running really fast. And all businesses, you know, that dealt with the pandemic are still readjusting and growing and changing and adapting to the new environment. And I think you've done an extraordinary job. And I know the community appreciates it, and you know, you play an integral role in being involved in the business community, and yet, you know, you cover kind of this economic region here of the three cities, which are all, you know, one part of the same economy. But I just wanted to congratulate you on the work you've done, and look forward to seeing more results going forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Austin, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a great night.
Thanks, you too. I3 is receive an update from the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce. Mrs. Spees.
There you go.
Grace Spees with the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce, 13612 Midway Road, Suite 603, Farmers Branch, 75244. Mayor Dye, members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. We're just going to dive right in. And hopefully, Terry Lynn, this will answer some of your questions right off the bat. Our first slide is on our city reporting metrics. When we initially signed this contract with Ben, with the city, our business visits and we're just doing our standard fiscal year 2021. So you'll see the visits goal was 60 per quarter, and then just recently went down to 30 per quarter. Each quarter, we have exceeded those metrics, and in fact, I'm happy to report that this quarter to date, we are already at 63 business visits for the month of April. So we're really working to actively get out there and engage our businesses. We know it's been a rough couple years for almost all of them. Some have still turned out great. Some are still, you know, trying to get their business out of the ditch. So we really are working hard to engage them and see how we can best serve and support all of our businesses. You can see our ribbon cutting metrics up there. Obviously, as a Farmers Branch Chamber, nearly 100% of all of our metrics are Farmers Branch alone. As far as our business intelligence leads, you can see that those have kind of wavered a little bit. What's been great, Allison Cook has worked phenomenally with me, especially in the beginning when we initially had this contract, of helping to teach and train me what's a good lead for her. She's not necessarily looking for every business that wants 1,000 square feet. So she's kind of helped coach me in what the expectations are, what economic development will consider for incentives and other, you know, intel that would be of value to her. So for us, we've not entered anything that we didn't feel like was true value to the city as far as our business intelligence leads are concerned. But what's great, again, those can be a little hit or miss. Not everyone's looking to expand or relocate, but when they do, we got 2 in the last week that we're going to send Allison's way as well. So again, those are a little bit unpredictable, but we have tried to consistently just keep a pulse and build relationships so that if or when they need something, they have a friendly face and a contact to go to. As far as our 2021, a couple pieces of recognition that I think some of you know that we received. We did receive congressional recognition from Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne's office last year, as well as, and I don't know what our history's been, but we did submit to the Dallas Business Journal, and we were ranked the number 19 Chamber of Commerce in the Metroplex. So that's exciting. That's purely based on revenue. So obviously we're not going to compete with the Dallas Regional Chamber of Commerce that puts up $12 million per year. But we're definitely excited that, hey, you got to start somewhere to benchmark that and to watch how we grow over the next couple years. Our events recap, as many of you know, because we're up here every quarter inviting you to all of our events. We do have the standard run-of-the-mill golf tournament, clay shoot, our awards luncheon. We did host 2 business expos last year, especially once the governor's orders lifted in March. We wanted to immediately, find innovative, relevant ways that we could serve and help restart the local economy. Our First Friday networking luncheons have grown rapidly. When I was a member of the chamber, it was 15 or 20 of us on the patio at Fuzzy's. So far this year, we've grown to 65 to 70 people in attendance at our First Friday luncheon, and we've changed the format. I will also give a special thank you to Allison Cook, who came and gave an economic development update to our community. A lot of our members felt that that was very valuable in understanding what is going on in the city of Farmers Branch, the new restaurant park, the one on the way, obviously the expansion of I-35. And we also had our Los Jefes program to support our Hispanic-owned businesses and our Platinum lunches. Now, for the events, as far as those are concerned, right, again, most chambers run these, but our members have, specifically responded that it's been great to reconnect with other businesses, especially with our Platinum lunches. Jan Rugg with Atmos she's been, they've been on a higher levels of restrictions, so they really appreciate the opportunity to connect with other people who are at their level professionally that they can think tank with. So thank you, Mayor Dye, who came and presented at our Platinum lunch in the fall. And we had our other elected officials who attended, our House Representative Julie Johnson, our Dallas County Commissioner J.J. Koch, and our Councilman Terry Lynn. So thank you all for that. With our upcoming Platinum lunch, which we'll send the information over to Ben for you guys here shortly, but we are looking to do more of a transformative workforce conversation. And we will discuss a little bit about that when we get towards our strategic plan. As far as our membership is concerned, for 2021, we did gain 75 new members. Specifically, 5 of those were new Platinum level members, and 2 of them were our new Platinum Plus level member, and Dallas Medical Center upgraded their membership to our Emerald level. What does that mean to you all? Well, in 2020, we did redesign our member benefits and programs. We found that, one, they were kind of outdated, and people weren't really sure what the value was for their membership. To me, what that metric should say is that our companies are not, throwing away $2,500 or $5,000 on a chamber membership. They felt that it's a valuable investment for their business and a great way to market and grow their impact as we come the other side of 2020. They're looking for new, innovative ways to develop their brand, to grow their business, and to also serve other functions of their business, such as workforce. And this year to date, we have also already added 2 Platinum members. So as Ben mentioned, one of the big pathways forward has been to grow our membership to be more financially self-sufficient. So I definitely say that we are on a positive path towards that. And my board can tell you it's probably been at least a decade or more, if ever, that we've gained 7, let alone almost 9 new Platinum members in less than a year and a half. As far as our workforce boot camp is concerned, as you all know, Raymond is one of our poster children for the program. We hosted that last year, again, just being very immediately responsive to the needs of the businesses, which has been labor force. So last year we had 12 students in attendance and 6 did obtain internships with chamber members and businesses here in our local community. Those included Ether Signs, Moderna Dental, 5 Star Ford, and Roy Rabinault, CPA, as well as obviously Raymond with the chamber. Our upcoming boot camp, we've actually changed the program a little bit since this. We're going to run a week-long program the second week of June. We found that this year, unlike last year, we're running into issues with prom and other things that graduating seniors want to be able to participate in that they haven't gotten to in the last 2 years. So we decided to do a 1-week intensive program. We'll have graduation day on that Friday, and we will have our companies out there to potentially offer internships, part-time and full-time work to our students. Also, I think many of you may not be aware, the Farmers Branch Chamber does also have an education foundation. We have relaunched that program, and we are anticipating to issue $10,000 worth of scholarships to Farmers Branch students who will be going to Dallas College. Any campus, but obviously the heart of that scholarship foundation was meant for it to stay local, to support the underserved student who might not otherwise go to college or might not be receiving other types of scholarship monies to help offset their cost. Our upcoming events, we do have the National Day of Prayer Breakfast. Many of you have attended that in the past, hosted by Brother Eddie and friends. He did graciously pass the torch to us after the shutdown for the last 2 years. So we're excited for that. We do have a golf tournament, our business expo and forum, a clay shoot, and an awards program. Lastly, we are still working on finalizing all of our graphics and materials, but we have launched a new strategic plan for Farmers Branch Chamber 2025. We're really excited for this program, and really the glue of that program is creating a transformative workforce. Workforce is the big thing that's happening, you know, there's just shortages everywhere, and we've heard this said for years, but that the jobs of tomorrow don't exist today. You know, McDonald's and Wendy's are going to be run by machines in no time. Warehouses, if you've toured some of the distribution center on the west side, they have really cool robots that do a lot of phenomenal things. Not every student's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a nuclear physicist. So how do we really equip a talent pool? You know, I think about Elon Musk when he's doing research on where to relocate his business, or any business. They want to know that there's a steady pool of talent for what they need. So again, with our next Platinum Lunch, and a lot of what our board and our strategic is working on, is how do we create a vibrant workforce for the businesses in the community of Farmers Branch, because that's going to be one of the biggest needs that we encounter in the future. That's going to take constant research, innovation, pivoting, changing, right? The jobs that we're equipping students for, again, don't even exist until 3 or 5 years from now. So how do you do that? How do you equip someone for something that doesn't exist? And how do you be able to pivot very quickly? So those are the conversations that we're having with our large stakeholders, and we definitely invite you all to the table to understand how we continue to pivot and serve our community and serve our businesses. So one other thing is we are working, as many of you know, Facebook has transformed into a metaverse. And we have worked very diligently to overhaul our website and our digital footprint as well, which makes a positive impact for the city of Farmers Branch as a whole, by us having a vibrant imprint on social media and having a great business directory, as well as job postings as a resource hub for our local businesses and students. So we're kind of trying to tune into what are these big guys doing at this grand level, like creating a completely digital marketplace, and how can we make sure that our businesses are there? Because someone might be a great chef, but they're not always great at handling social media and handling the digital components of business. So again, our biggest focus is just staying relevant, staying agile, and identifying ways we can serve and support. Thank you.
Ms. Spees, thank you very much for your presentation. And I know I've said it in the past, but when you took over I would say that the chamber at best was fledgling. But the energy that you've put into it, the momentum that you've created, you can kind of see the efforts of that work and labor. And so I just want to say thank you for what you've kind of built from where it was to where it is today. And I think we're very excited about where you're taking the chamber in the future. So just want to commend you on that work, that effort, and we appreciate what you do, not only for our community, but especially for our businesses here in Farmers Branch.
Thank you, Mayor Dye.
Anyone have any comments or questions for Ms. Spees? You're off the hook.
I'm off the hook.
Thank you very much.
Y'all have made it easy on me. Thank you.
Next is I4, receive a presentation on the second quarter financials. Mrs. Evans-Jones.
Mayor, Council. I'm Sherelle Evans-Jones, Director of Finance. Pleased to be here with you tonight to go over our second quarter presentation for the period ended March 31st, 2020. I'm going to intentionally keep this presentation brief because it's presented in a similar format and it's a lot more of the same financial presentation or financial performance as what we've seen in the previous quarter. So with that, I'll talk a little bit about general fund. As I mentioned in the opening comments, more of the same that we've seen in first quarter, specifically in the areas of property tax revenue, with that revenue running a little bit ahead of our plan. This is one of the areas of our revenue where we do intensive collections of that property tax revenue during the earlier parts of the year. You see that number in terms of our actuals higher than 100%. Well, Sherelle, how does that happen? It relates to protests from previous years that are reflected in our actual numbers for the current period. In terms of our sales and use tax, this is another area that is performing better than expectation at about 61% of actual and just shy of $11 million to date. So we are pleased with that performance thus far. One other area that I wanted to point out, and I'll explain this for the viewing public, because I know you all know this because you probably hear me say it sometimes as I'm doing these presentations. With respect to the expenditures, what you may see here is us presenting what is expected, which we're halfway through the year, so you may see many of those areas showing at about 50%. And sometimes you'll see things running faster or slower than that expectation. Bear in mind that each one of these summarized areas is tied to a specific general ledger account that has a specific budget, and that is what I refer to as the financial safety feature that stops it and catches it to make sure that we don't go past the overall budget. So there may be periods of time where areas are running faster or slower than the expectation. Not to worry. Enterprise fund holds our water and sewer as well as stormwater charges, and those are two areas where they are moving ahead of budget in terms of the revenue items. And you can kind of see the revenue that's come in terms of water sewer sales at $13.6 million, and our stormwater charges are at just shy of $900,000 of revenue. I'll mention it here. Included in this water sewer operation, and especially the reason you see this big differential between the expectation and the actual, is because this is where the significant portion of our contracts with third-party organizations that we use to take care of the water and sewer operations, that is where those contracts are maintained, and they have very large purchase orders related to them that'll carry us throughout the bulk of the year. Hotel motel. This is kind of a neat little, I see hope. I see good things starting to bud in these numbers. You can kind of see what I'm referring to with the hotel motel revenue performing about 10 percentage points ahead of expectations. It's kind of like, for me, when I pull the numbers each month and I see, these things summarized, I'm like, go hotel motel, go. Just rooting for it to do well. And that was the overall areas that I wanted to touch base on with respect to hotel motel. This last slide that I typically present, I don't know if I've explained it this way. So all of the other slides are showing you financial performance over a period of time, over the 6-month period of time that we have gone through March. This is the only one that I think of it as a camera lens opening and closing. It is taking a snapshot of our investment portfolio as of that specific date. Could open the lens tomorrow and it'll look different based on what is happening in our market, in our world, et cetera. So when the lens opened and closed at March 31st, our $110 million portfolio overall was at a $1.1 million unrealized net loss. I use that term and I put emphasis on unrealized because we know that our policy for investments is to hold those investments to maturity. So when you see this information talking more about the weighted average of maturity for those investments, on average that's, we blend it out, but that's kind of giving you an idea of what that means. As we get closer to the maturity, the value of those investments comes up as well. With that, I'll invite any questions.
Ms. Evans-Jones, thank you very much. Love that you keep it consistent. Makes it easy to track it from quarter to quarter.
I know. Once you find the format that everybody likes and understands, I don't move it.
I know where the one number that I need to see is, and that's all I need to know. No, just kidding. Thank you very much for the presentation. Does any council members have any comments or questions at this time? Councilman Lynn.
So, Sherelle, I have two questions. One, looking forward, do you expect maybe any increase in property tax protests since everybody just got their statement last week or maybe the first of this week and people are going irate with the increase in assessed value? Do you think that that might have an effect on next year's collections, or are you concerned at this point?
Next year's elections?
Collections.
Collections, okay. I'll say this, that there's a separate entity that kind of deals with the protests, et cetera, so that's more in DCAD's house. I will also say that we are basing our next year's budget on what has been certified, the values that have been certified. So there's a process whereby, especially residential protests are happening. Those are going to be settled down and resolved. Sometimes you have some of these collections that I'm referring to that are coming in from prior year. They tend to be businesses, whose whose property taxes are based on a slightly different metric. And they tend to be businesses who have financial groups that can help them to work their way through the legal protest part. So I say all of that to say that at the time that we do our budget, we're going to have what the certified values are. And we base our budget based on that certified value, which is why you see, hold on, I'll show you. Which is why you see this number coming in larger, which is why you see the actual coming in larger. We don't bake a budget based on what we think the protest is going to be and how the protest is going to be resolved. So you should expect to see something like this happening in future years as well, that 99 and 100% variation.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. My second question was regarding the hotel motel fund.
Okay.
With the number of hotels that have come online in the area, and I'm really talking about Irving, Cypress Waters and whatnot, do you think that those additional rooms are going to have an impact on Farmers Branch occupancy?
It's highly possible that, it's the market, right? So as there are more opportunities in the market, it's highly possible that those businesses may experience, different forces of competition. I would imagine that our team that works to try to incentivize and help our hotels may do what we can to try to, help encourage that business, but it is the market. So if there are more hotels coming on, there are more opportunities for business and leisure travel to have different choices.
Well, every time I, every time I hear about that, I think back on the presentation that Mr. Binford made to us, and I think you were here when he was here and spoke to us about the number of hotel rooms in Farmers Branch and whatnot. That's maybe 3 years ago. Might be good just to give him a phone call and talk to him, because he was spot on about what was going on in the marketplace, and I just worry about, we can't control competition, but maybe we need to be a little more conservative in our projection as we go forward.
I'm smiling and I'm laughing.
Not telling you how to do it.
No, I get it. I'm smiling and I'm laughing as you say, be conservative with revenue projections, Charles. Who's conservative with revenue projections?
Councilmember Driscoll.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Sherelle, thank you very much for the presentation and making it legible, readable, understandable. It seems to me the overall takeaway message is that the economy is doing better and our revenue is doing better with hotel, motel, monthly sales tax, other revenue, things from the water, et cetera. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Yeah. And I think, we see the monthly sales tax data, we get that, and the economy seems to be really rebounding quite a lot. So looks like we're probably going to have a pretty good year this year if the trends right now in kind of middle of April continue this year. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would agree. I would agree.
Okay. Thank you. And one last thing. As an investor, I think Farmers Branch would be a good place to invest, because I saw from your data there that the market value of our investments is less than our book value. So that's always, we would be a good investment if someone wanted to buy Farmers Branch, right?
Well, remember, these are investments into other businesses, investments that they have out there. So, we'd be a good investment, though.
Yeah. Pun intended. It always gets my attention when something is valued less than book value. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone else have any comments at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to I6. Consider approving resolution number 2022-54, relating to giving of notice of intention to issue City of Farmers Branch, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation Series 2022 for the purpose of paying contractual obligations to be incurred related to the public recreational multi-sport and fitness facility in an amount not to exceed $25 million, declaring intent to reimburse certain prior capital costs and take appropriate action. Mrs. Evans-Jones.
Okay. I'll go for one more thing. I think it's fine. Okay. Let me find my place in my notes. One moment. Okay. So, Council, before you, you have Resolution 2022-54, and that item relates to providing the notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation in the amount of $25 million related to a sports, a multi-purpose sports and fitness facility. Specifics in terms of details that I wanted to talk with you about is sorry, I pulled it up at first and now it's gone. They are here. So if you will allow me a moment to channel my inner Allison Cook as I show you things and use words that don't normally come up in my financial world. I'll invite you to enjoy the glazing of the structure that we are providing renderings of related to this $25 million or an amount not to exceed $25 million structure. A couple of points that I wanted to make as I kind of scroll down and allow you to see the articulations of the particular building that may be provided as a result of this funding is a few things to note. The notice of intent does not issue the COs. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear. What that does is it provides a specific timeline that allows us about 9 weeks of work in terms of presentations to our community to share more details about this particular project. Another thing that I wanted to share with respect to these certificates of obligation is that no tax increase is anticipated as a result of its issuance. The debt service is anticipated to be fully covered by the lease occupant of the facility. This arrangement is similar to the arrangement that has happened at our Dallas Star Center, and we are nearing the end of a very similar financial setup with respect to that and have seen it work successfully for the benefit of our community. The last thing I wanted to share is that this notice provides just a lot of, with the notice of intent, we'll go forward with specific newspaper articles and publishings that will allow us to properly notify the public as required by law. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Could you define glazing?
Yes.
No. Sorry.
Was it okay?
Does anyone have any questions or comments at this time?
Thank you for the presentation. Simply reiterating the fact that this is a normal course of notification. Want to make sure that our community knows that they have the opportunity to understand more about this endeavor. A lot of work has gone on by our economic development staff, Allison and team. We're taking advantage of experience with this particular approach and using it going forward with this particular opportunity. It is going to be a very good asset, in my opinion, to our community. The fact that we are going to be able to have such an amenity is super positive, especially with having a very good lease tenant there as the operator. So I look forward to that. I look forward to the questions that the community may bring. I'll be happy to share my thoughts on that and provide the details. But I want to thank the economic development staff, and Sherelle, thank you for the presentation. But this is something that I'm excited to see come to our community.
Thank you, Councilmember Merritt. And to just kind of expand on that, we've had a wonderful partnership with the Dallas Stars for more than 2 decades. They have exhibited their ability to perform and be a great partner for the city. This new facility is a continuation of that. It is something that is going to enhance the station area. The fact that the Star Center brings over 300,000 people a year to the area that hopefully can enjoy our restaurants, our entertainment, and enjoy Farmers Branch, this is going to do so even more. The projections are 400, 500,000 a year based on basketball and volleyball and how much that's picked up. And, they've helped answer the call too of what we're looking for in this corridor. I mean, we most recently passed our I-35 corridor study, which is looking for higher and better use, which is looking for facilities of this quality. And we appreciate them working with us on this, their partnership. And I think for the entire community, this is going to be a wonderful thing. And the fact that it's intended to not raise, our property taxes, not be a burden to our taxpayers, and the Stars are going to be paying for it through their lease, through their operations, and hopefully that success is going to be, that's what we look for. It's kind of the same structure that we had the original Star Center. This is 2.0. Continue that going forward. And so I think our staff and the Stars have done a wonderful job coming to a deal that works for everybody and definitely works for the city of Farmers Branch. So just want to say that as it relates to this project. And I know that council was very supportive when we talked about this in executive session, but we will now see what this looks like as we look to potentially provide notice and waited with bated breath for 45 days in terms of how we will move forward. So, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I do want to mention, this is a public recreational facility, and just want to make sure that, the viewers know that we made sure to negotiate in a manner that keeps it public, and that there will be certainly an avenue and a way for our residents to enjoy the use of the facility on a very frequent basis. And so I think that it'll be a nice addition to our array of offerings to our residents in that manner.
That's a wonderful comment. I'm glad you brought it up because the purpose of this as well and the structure was to do just that, to alleviate some of the issues that we have at our current rec center with overcrowding on the basketball courts and other things that this hopefully provides, not only our residents, but people that are coming to Farmers Branch to participate in sporting activities are able to do that at this facility to, like I said, alleviate some of that congestion and hopeful to provide more enjoyment for the most amount of people. So does anyone else have any other comments at this time? Seeing none.
Wait, may I? There's a comment there, and I had something else.
Yeah, just a brief comment. I'm very excited about this project, and we all know we've reviewed this and re-reviewed it and looked at it from several angles, and it will be a great amenity for our community. And again, not any big, any responsibility, financial responsibility on the city. And I think it goes another big step forward in making Farmers Branch a real sports center, with all the wide array of offerings that we have here right in Farmers Branch. And so I just think it's going to be a big positive for the city. Excited about it.
All right. Anyone else?
The last thing that I wanted to point out, I'm sorry, I was looking for this where I opened this PDF up and then I was like, oh, there it is. So if you would just, I'm not sure if it's visible to our viewing public. I just wanted to share just some details overall in terms of the timeline. We're here tonight with the notice, the approval related to the notice of intent to issue COs. There are a couple of specific timelines, April 21st and April 28th, that relates to publishing details about those COs. One thing that I wanted to point out is that May 23rd week is when we are tentatively planning on doing our ratings calls with rating agencies related to this issuance. And the reason that I explain that is because we have the ability to, at any time in this process, to stop the process. If we could do that before those ratings calls, there are some specific financial obligations related to conducting those meetings. So if we knew that, it would be good to know it prior to that. And then lastly, the overall plan is June 21st. The council meeting would be when the ordinance authorizing the issuance of the COs would be brought forward. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This item is marked for action. We do not have anyone signed up to speak. So if there's no more discussion, we'll look for someone to make a motion. Councilmember Williams.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2022-54 as it is written.
I have a motion by Councilmember Williams.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Rotana. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none signed up to speak, I will ask you all to mark your vote at this time. Motion passes unanimously. Next is I-8, consider adopting ordinance number 3738, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Code of Ethics by amending Section 2-278 to add definitions and add Sections 2-280, additional standards to add subsection 8 and I regarding false statements and take appropriate action. This kind of comes up after conversations that I've had with Councilmember Merritt. I know that our communication and our standards are things that are very important to all of us. We can always look for ways to beef up our code of ethics. And so there were some kind of holes in the ethics standards, and that's kind of where we look to kind of fill some of those. And you know, this proposed ordinance is to make sure that we as a council, as we conduct business, as we kind of agree on paths forward, as we are looking at things that we are going to decide for our community, that those decisions, those comments, those things that are made in the council chambers, in our study session room, as a group, are continually reported and communicated to the public in such a manner as were discussed there. Granted, everyone does have their First Amendment rights. They can say or do as they please in terms of their own opinions, but as it relates to council business, as it relates to business of the city, we want to make sure that as we move forward, we are moving so in a way that is consistent with the conversations and the discussions had at the council dais. And so that is kind of the intent behind this. And so with that, I know we've all had a chance to review it through our packet, so if there's any comments or questions or further discussion, the floor is now yours. Councilmember Lynn.
Sure. So the subject of communication has come up many times in the past, and it seems that much of it has been directed at me because I put out my own newsletter. I do have First Amendment rights. I also have rights to my own opinion. Now, I don't know if somebody is taking issue with me specifically in this. I got to believe that our Code of Ethics currently addresses some of this, and I think there's a difference between what? So knowingly make false statement. That is, I don't think any of us are knowingly making false statements. However, there are people who interpret things differently, and if you're saying that people should get clarification if there's ever any question, that's one thing. But I don't know that anybody, I haven't seen anybody put out or knowingly put out false statements to any Farmers Branch residents. And if you say otherwise, I would take great exception to that. So I'm not sure that we need this particular policy at this time, but I fully expect that you all are going to vote otherwise. So I'll just leave my comments at that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Merritt.
I'm not going to get into a debate here on this, but I think the point that the mayor brought up and the point that we were looking at is making sure that the ethics policy had enough of an operational arm that it could actually do something. We've all looked at it and said, how can we read this and how can we deal with this? And so this is just an opportunity to be truthful, and I can't imagine that you're against being truthful, but we want the information in all the different channels that we have, and we've talked about this. This is not something that we're actually looking to refrain on someone's or impede on someone's First Amendment rights, but the idea of getting the right communication, the correct communication out to our public in whatever form, whether it's your newsletter, whether it's a web page that I host, or whether it's a social media that one of the other individuals have. We need to make sure that our communication is accurate and truthful. And I think that's the expectation that we're coming to an agreement here, hopefully coming to an agreement. You have made perhaps a perception that it's ill-intended, and that's farthest from the truth. That is not where it is headed. It is not where it was generated from. It is simply looking at this ethics document as something that we need to hold ourselves at a higher level than we've been holding ourselves before, and this is simply up for debate at this particular time in the language that the legal staff has put together. So I'm happy to support this and make sure that the community gets the right information from all of us, and we all have our own measures of communicating that, but we need to make sure that it's truthful, accurate, and on the spot, and that's what this is intended to do, in my opinion.
Councilmember Lynn?
Well, I'm insulted that you would say that, or insinuate that I might be against the truth. If anybody has tried to make sure the citizens of Farmers Branch have known what's going on and be informed about things going on in the city, that would be me. 6 years ago when I ran for council, I decided to do things differently, something that hadn't been done. Put out my own newsletter. I take great pride in what I put out and communicate to folks. I'm sorry you feel as though it's not worthy. Don't answer just yet. I don't think anybody has ever intentionally said anything that was false to folks in any of their communications. And, you know, there are those on this council who put out information as recently as last week taking credit for something that hadn't even been adopted yet, but saying that a motion had already passed. It will pass, it just hasn't passed yet. And so everybody needs to be careful about what they're putting out and probably check and double check their work. Are people infallible? No. But I don't think anybody on this council or the previous councils that I've sat on knowingly made false statements to residents. And if you perceive that to be a problem, then, man, I would really question your logic and what that is based on. Because I've been here longer than you, and I've never seen that.
Terry, Councilman Lynn, I'm going to once again say this was not intended at any one person. It was intended as a holistic approach, and I was only going off of your comments. You didn't seem to be in agreement with this particular measure, so I simply added that. You're able to vote in a moment on this particular measure. This is not, and I'll say it again, this is not intended at you. It is intended at this body. And this body is made up of 6 individuals, including the mayor, and it is made to go back to the ethics document that we have, a document that we can refer to and use to the appropriateness of communicating with our public and our residents. And no one, and I am standing right here, I have not said that you said anything incorrectly or anything else to that matter. That is false, and I will not take that accusation, if it was an accusation, that this is intended against you. That is so wrong, and I will not allow you to say that to me. And again, we're trying to be a professional organization. We are a $140 million operation, and we need to act like that, and we need to approach matters very seriously. And you even said it, to double check, triple check, validate that. If we don't know those answers, we need to ask the questions to get those answers. And that's all this is saying. Don't go off and misconstrue this as an attack against you, because that is not the case, Terry. I'm sorry, it's not. And I will stand by that till the day I die.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments? Okay. Well, if there's no further discussion, we don't have anyone sign up to speak. It is marked for action. So if anyone wants to make a motion, they can.
Mayor, I'll be happy to make the motion. Let me get here. I make a motion to approve ordinance number 3738.
I have a motion by Councilmember Merritt.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Is there any more discussion? Seeing no one requesting to speak, I will ask you all to mark your vote at this time. Motion carries 4-1. Seeing no additional, oh, nope, I lied. We have an executive session item. That is correct. So, Jay, take any action necessary as a result of the closed executive session. We do have a motion on the table. I do want to make it known that we also do not have anyone sign up to speak to this item. So, with that, I will ask for said motion. Councilmember Lynn.
I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and execute on behalf of the city an agreement pursuant to Chapter 380 Texas Local Government Code with OHT Partners, LLC, and/or affiliated companies, and any amendments thereto, which provide 5 annual grants equal to 100% of the property taxes assessed. The improvements not to exceed $2 million for a multifamily project at the northeast corner of Welch and Alpha Road, consisting of 5 stories, approximately 788,210 square feet, 400 units, and structured parking in accordance with the site plan to be approved for the project, conditioned on the developer closing the purchase of the subject land.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lynn. I will second it.
Second?
No. Do you want it?
Second.
I'm going to give it to Councilmember Driscoll for the second. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none requesting to speak, I'll ask you all to mark your vote at this time. Motion passes unanimously. With that, seeing no more business to conduct, I will adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:45 p.m. Good night, everyone.